Hello my friends, today I want to show you how I'm pruning my tomatoes, and for that I have my GoPro on so you can see better. So if you take a look at the tomatoes here, you will see that I'm heavily pruning them and I'm removing all of the leaves which are touching the ground. So in the end I'm getting a bare stem result, which is really nice because then you have a lot of air flowing in between the tomatoes and you will get less illnesses, sicknesses, rots, and also less fungal infection. So the number one tip that I can give you is that you want to cut all of the leaves which are touching the ground, because those leaves, they can pick up all kinds of diseases. Number two is that you want to remove all of the suckers. So what are the suckers? The suckers are basically small new stems that are coming out of the armpits of the tomato. Let's see if we can find one. Not really, because I'm really pruning my tomatoes very often. So, oh yeah, here we have one. So here you can see a sucker. It's this one here. So they usually come out in the armpit, which is basically this part. This is the stem and this is the leaf, and the sucker comes out in a 45 degrees angle, and this one is something that you want to remove, because if you leave the suckers on you will only get a shrub. That's something I don't want. So I want a tomato plant which is growing as a one stem tomato in only one direction, and I don't want to have a lot of leaves. So that's why I'm pruning the tomato pretty heavily, and this way I will get more fruit and bigger fruit, which is looking like this. Every 2 weeks or so I'm going to take off one more leaf of the tomato plant, and that's just because, yeah, I like to do that so that I, see what's going on with my tomatoes. Also, the tomatoes don't need so many leaves to produce some fruit, as you can see. There's only one important thing: you don't want to take off more leaves than 30% of the plant mass, because the plant needs foliage to make photosynthesis, of course, and that's why they need a certain proportion of leaves, but they don't need too much. So it's okay if you cut down some leaves every now and then. So now this tomatoes I have cut bare stem up to here. And now I want to continue that, but now I want to cut only every second leaf anymore. So this is the first leaf here. I want to leave that now. I only take this one down. That's it, guys. So I only take off 1 to 2 leaves per week or per fortnight per plant, because otherwise the plant shock will be too much. Okay, so if you take out like 5 leaves now, the plant will get a shock. It will abandon some roots, and then that will be bad for the fruit as well. So only take off 1 to maximum 2 leaves per cutting cycle per fortnight. So here it's the same. I want to leave this first leaf here, and I will cut off this one only. Okay, so that's good. Then here we have a special case. So here you can see that we have fruit, and then the fruit is going into another leaf. It even has a sucker here, and if you don't cut this here, then you will get a new stem, which I don't like. So I will cut this off right here, like right here and right here. Okay, if you don't cut this off, you will get a new stem, and the same thing is happening here as well. So this one has to go. You can see there's fruit, and now it's even making a sucker here, which we don't need. We also don't need the leaf here, and this is a new stem that is forming that I don't want to have, so I'm going to cut this off. Okay, so we got that now. Let's see if all of the other branches are okay. Yeah, that's looking very good. Here we have another sucker that is coming up. Let's see. Okay, let's cut this off entirely. All right, so this one is good now. Okay, we have another leaf coming out of the fruit stand here as well. Let's check out this here. I'm going to cut off this leaf because it's rubbing against the wooden frame. You can see the injury right here. Okay, that's it. Up here you can see that this is one sucker. No, not really. So this is not a sucker here, this is a fruit stem. All right, so that's another fruit stem and not a sucker. So you want to leave the fruits, otherwise you don't have fruit. Let's check out this plant here. We don't have any suckers anymore. So when something is not clear, like up here, then just leave it and come back in a few days, then you will know if it's a sucker or not. Okay, this is nice. This is... Okay, here we have something going on, so I don't like this branch, which is coming down into the plant, so I cut that off. This still has a lot more leaves on than the other plants. I'm going to cut this leaf off here. Okay. Some leaves are growing back into the tomato plant. I always cut them out if possible. Yeah, otherwise this is looking really good, so I think I will leave the tomato as it is. This is looking good. So this tomato here, this is the Roma variety. I'm not so happy with this one. It's performing very poorly in terms of growth and also in terms of fruit yield. All right, so we are outside now. As you can see, I've used some very thick string, which I attached to the tomatoes by just wrapping it around the stem. And it's important that you use thick string because this will not cut into the tomato plant too easily. So the thicker the better. If you take a very thin string, then it will cut into the tomato, especially when there's wind like today. Okay, so first we break out the suckers, except for the one at the top here, because this is the leading stem. Okay, next, this leaf is almost touching the ground, so I want to remove it. Nice. Yeah, otherwise the plant is doing really well, so there's no more need for pruning. Okay, the next plant is this one here. Let's check for suckers. Okay, then I will cut out this leaf. And here we go. Next in here, there's one sucker here at the side. Ah, this is a perfect example of a sucker right here. And they keep coming, so even if you remove them 1 month ago, they will come back. Okay, then there's something in here that I don't like, so it seems like the tomato is growing back into the stem, so I'm going to remove this one. And I'm going to prune off this branch. So the problem with foliage is that if you have too much, it's stopping the wind, and then when the air is moist, you will have too much moisture, and moisture is killing tomato plants, so they don't like moisture at all, especially not on the leaves. Okay, then here we have two examples of a stem that is forming from the fruit stand. So this one here has to go because this is coming out of the fruit, and this one has to go also. And the other plant here made the same thing, so I'm going to cut that off. This one is also looking very good, but it's forming a new stem here, as you can see. So and the new stem is coming out of here. So as you can see, there's a lot of pruning involved with tomatoes because they don't want to grow like this, okay? They want to grow as a shrub. That's how they are programmed to do so. And I, as a gardener, don't like shrubs because I rather want to have more yield and less foliage. So let's check this out here. Okay, this is very good. I'm going to cut off this leaf because it's rubbing at the structure, which is not good, and this is an entry wound for all kinds of fungi and bacterial infection. Alright, so this is how it goes, guys, and that's what I'm doing like every week or every 2 weeks. Also, I make sure that the tomatoes are sitting properly in the string, and pretty soon they are high enough so I can pull them over onto the string, and I'm really looking forward to that. So this here is a 2-stem tomato, and they are doing good, but I rather have 1 stem, to be honest. So pruning tomatoes is not that difficult, guys. It's pretty easy actually. And I would definitely recommend that you prune them. Otherwise you will only grow leaves and you won't find your tomatoes anymore. Alright, my friends, so this is it. This is how you can prune your tomatoes. It's pretty easy. No big secret around it. And I think the perfect distance between the tomato plants is this distance here, which is about 45 centimeters. This gap here is too wide, so you can go a little bit closer with your plants. So in future I'm only going to plant them like that, so I can fit like 5 to 6 tomato plants per row, and I have 2 rows in each raised bed. And this year I have 24 tomatoes, which will give me a yield around 300 kilograms, and that's pretty good. So if you buy 300 kilograms of organic tomatoes in the store, so here in Europe it will cost you around 1,600 euros if you buy this much of tomatoes in the store. So if you grow your tomatoes yourself, you will actually save a lot of money, and the only thing that you have to do is you have to grow them from seed, you have to prune them, and you have to water them, and after a couple of months you will have a really good harvest. Alright, my friends, so this is it for today. I really want to thank you for watching, and stay tuned for next time.